Welcome back. Early intervention is an organised programme of therapy, exercises and activities designed to address developmental delays in children with disabilities. Our next guest is a mum fighting for these supports to be made available to babies with Down syndrome within the first crucial 6 months of their lives. Marie Brennan joins me now alongside Olive Buckeridge, who is the head of Early Years Intervention for Down Syndrome Ireland. You're both very welcome to the show. Marie, so God, you're a busy mum. So you had 2 girls and then it was on your 3rd pregnancy you were told you were pregnant with twins, but you had no idea that Conn was going to be born with Down syndrome.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I was so sick for about 9 weeks and I had to sign myself off work for a month. I just wasn't able to cope. And I went up to the Conn to get medication to kind of control the sickness because I was losing weight and I was dehydrated. And they did a little scan and there was 2 heartbeats and I got the drop of my life.
Wow.
But yeah, twins. It was great.
So then early after giving birth, it was within the first couple of hours that the team were able to say to you, Conn has Down syndrome.
Yes, like the medical team were fantastic and we had a great doctor who spotted the signs straight away because, you know, you could be left a few days not knowing, and it was great to know straight away because you know what you're dealing with. And
what's that like though? You've had 2 girls before.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah, and you have Rory, Conn's twin and brother.
Yeah. This guy, like, he came out straight away, no problem, peeing straight away, crying, doing all he's supposed
all
to do.
The things they're supposed
and then
to
his
do.
brother was the one that was difficult. So he came out leg and bum first. So he was, yeah, that was great fun. But yeah, little Conn, he was struggling. He was very small. He was the one I was induced early because he was under pressure. So we knew that, and we knew he was going to be small. So he was in the unit for a couple of nights, but we did really well, and he's no major health issues. Like, it's very common for babies with Down syndrome to have a heart operation in the first 6 months. Now, he had two or three small holes in his heart at the start, but 2 of them closed, and 1 is probably going to be closed by our next cardiology appointment next summer.
Conn. So then you were told within a couple of days, the National Disability team are going to be in touch. You're going to get support and services. So what actually happened then in those early weeks?
Yeah, well, so day 3, before we were discharged, the social worker for the hospital comes and tells you you're so lucky to have a great service of early intervention, and you will get vital therapies, occupational therapy, physiotherapy and speech and language therapy as early as possible. And you're lucky you don't live in Dublin because the waiting list there is about a year.
Wow.
So we were lucky to be living in Kildare, and that hasn't come to fruition.
So as it stands, you haven't had any of these sessions that you were promised in the first couple of days?
No, we haven't.
And Conn is what age now?
Conn is 10 months next week.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got in the post last Friday, so we have our first admin meeting for social, for the services in December. So, but therapies won't start probably till January, so he'll be 1.
Hugely disappointing and frustrating for you. How is it affecting you on a day-to-day basis in terms of the challenges of raising Conn and with his Down syndrome?
Well, like with any child, you want to do the best for your children. We know we're not doing the best for Conn because we're not equipped. We don't have the skills, and we're not. You can't even supplement the knowledge that the local services have with private therapies because yeah, you're talking.
I know, no, yeah, exactly.
You're Irish as well, aren't you? So you can't supplement it privately because locally you're with the services, it's a holistic team dealing with Conn, so it's looking at the different aspects. But privately you'd have to go to individual, so it wouldn't. You can't supplement it.
Yeah. Very, very frustrating. Olive, in terms of what Conn should be getting in a perfect world, how would he benefit then from early intervention?
Well, the whole focus of early intervention, it plays a huge part in offering children with Down syndrome and families the supports they need in order for children to reach their potential. And as you said at the beginning, early intervention is a very organised approach to therapy, activities and exercises that help children with developmental delay. So really, the rule of thumb is the sooner the better. And if your child is born with a developmental delay, and if your child is born with Down syndrome, you know that your child is at risk of missing out those crucial learning and developmental milestones. So the sooner you're engaged with those services, the better. It is essential. And those first years of life, everybody knows that the first years of life are critical in terms of child development. And early intervention, as you said, is so important, not only for the child, but for families. And it's a valuable resource for families because it provides assistance and support, it empowers the family, it gives you resources that you can bring out anytime to support your child. So really and truly, the minute you know your child has a need, it's time refer your child to services. And it's not just about supporting your child when there's a problem. It's about enhancing all the skill sets that Conn has. You know, his amazing eye contact, his visual skills. It's all about optimizing and enhancing.
Because even things like that Marie could learn in terms of communicating, because obviously you're able to measure Conn or compare Conn to Rory, his twin. So you can see how Rory is crawling, you know, how you can communicate. So are you frustrated then that you're just not equipped enough to be able to help him and reach the full potential at this early stage?
So frustrated, because like there's a misconception that babies and people with Down syndrome are really laid back. They're not. They're working twice as hard to achieve everything. And this guy has such potential. And they all do. They have such potential, but they just need extra help. And they need extra help from as quickly as possible. Like, he rolled before Rory. But Rory, like, would do his tummy time and he would just get into a position and sleep. Whereas this guy would fight tooth and nail to get off his tummy. So, you know, he was working so hard. But our last, you do get a couple of medical physio appointments. So after you go to the hospital in the Coombe to see your paediatrician, you can get in for a kind of a 10-minute physio slot. So that's the only physio we've had. And the last physiotherapy, we've had 3. The last physiotherapy appointment we had, the physio said that his development has plateaued because we're not doing proper physio. We're not, and she only can give us homework essentially.
And an idea where that physiotherapist will come to your house, set things up for you, and literally just give you, is it exercises that you would have on a daily basis to strengthen low muscle tone? Is that typical?
Yeah. So as part of Down syndrome, they have low muscle tone throughout their whole body. So that affects a lot of different areas. You obviously know more like that than I. But like head control is the first thing. So tummy time is so important, and then it goes into his feeding and everything. So he's a significant feeding issue, and it's probably down to low muscle tone as well.
And you think weaning could be helped through occupational therapy?
Absolutely, yeah. So we had a big problem trying to get him a seat to sit in, to feed, because
they need to be upright, of course.
Upright, yeah. He's very refluxy. Yes, because he wasn't sitting, and he's not sitting, and he won't be sitting for a long time. So to support him to feed, like, you need to be as upright as possible, and we didn't have the equipment. But through occupational therapy, through services, you can get a special chair. But if you don't have services, you can't.
Olive, what needs to happen?
Well, more investment in early intervention is absolutely essential, so that there are enough therapists, like speech and language therapists, to support feeding, occupational therapy to give you those self-help skills, and physiotherapy for all the motor development. You need psychology, and you need speech and language therapists there who can assess feeding problems. So more investment to put more therapists into the teams so they can manage their waiting list successfully. They can provide the interventions, one-on-one, group therapy, everything that, and family training. And this needs to start early on. And there needs to be very early referral from the hospitals and from public health nurses into the teams as well. So real investment in this area is required.
Absolutely, it is vital, Olive. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you. And gorgeous, Conn. We wish you all the very best. Oh, you're gorgeous, Conn. Thanks for coming in. Bye, mister.